You just wanted to quickly check social media. Now you've been scrolling for 20 minutes and you don't even remember what you were looking for. Sound familiar? You're definitely not alone. Among 12 to 19-year-olds, average daily smartphone screen time sits at just under 4 hours. Among the legal adults in that group, it's over 4.5 hours every single day. And 4 out of 10 openly admit they spend more time on social networks than they actually want to. Social media can do a lot of good. It connects us with friends, keeps us informed, gives a voice to people who otherwise wouldn't be heard. But it also has a deep, dark side. And that's exactly what today's video is about. We're breaking down what makes social media so dangerous and why it's so hard to let go. After one click, you open the app. In your brain, an ancient mechanism kicks in, one that was actually built for survival. A trigger, the little red number on the icon, sets off an urge. The urge turns into a craving, and your body releases dopamine. Here's the key thing. Dopamine doesn't make you happy. It only signals that something good might happen next. The actual feel-good chemicals, serotonin, oxytocin, only show up afterward once the reward actually arrives. That's exactly why the anticipation of a like can feel more exciting than the like itself once it's there. And here's where it gets interesting. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky trained monkeys to pull a lever for a guaranteed snack. Their dopamine release stayed moderate, but once the reward only came with a 50% chance, dopamine levels spiked far higher. It's not the reward itself that gets you high, it's the uncertainty beforehand. Sapolsky called this the magic of maybe. It's the exact same principle that drives slot machines. And that same principle is baked into every feed. You never know if the next post will be a hit. Videos autoplay so you never have to make a conscious decision. Even the simple gesture you use to refresh your feed isn't an accident. It deliberately mimics the pull of a slot machine lever. Pull, wait, see what comes up. Push notifications aren't a friendly extra feature either. They're timed and worded to spark maximum curiosity without giving too much away. Someone reacted to your post doesn't tell you who or how, and your brain wants to close that gap. Streaks and badges make quitting feel like a loss, not like reclaiming your time. A former Facebook executive later admitted openly, this mechanism was deliberately built to exploit our need for social validation. Your brain, scrolling regularly. A single click is harmless. Repetition is the problem. Many people open an app precisely when they're bored, hoping the boredom will go away. A researcher at the University of Toronto tested this with over 1,000 participants across multiple experiments and found the opposite. People who kept skipping ahead within videos or jumping straight to the next clip ended up measurably more bored, not less. Those who stayed with a single piece of content longer reported more satisfaction and a stronger sense of meaning. Binge scrolling doesn't relieve boredom, it actually creates it. Over time, this adds up. People who spend a lot of time on social media show, on average, more signs of depression and anxiety, though it's still unclear which comes first. One clear distinction does emerge, though. For people who mostly consume passively, more screen time tends to correlate with more depressive symptoms. For people who actively participate or create, the opposite tends to be true. A particularly stubborn example of passive consumption is doom scrolling, endlessly reading bad news even though it's visibly distressing you. The unconscious hope is that more information will bring more control over your anxiety, but usually the opposite happens. The line between staying informed and hurting yourself blurs almost without you noticing. On top of that, there's sleep. Staying on your phone late into the night means getting too little sleep, and sleep deprivation is linked to concentration problems and a higher risk of depression. And then there's something many people underestimate: cyberbullying. Unlike classic schoolyard bullying, it doesn't stop when you get home. It follows you straight into your bedroom, around the clock, on every device with an app installed. It's not just about you. The consequences don't stay locked inside your own head. Families of heavy users report more conflict and worse everyday communication. And what shows up in your feed also shapes how you think about other people. Algorithms tend to favor content that matches your existing opinions. Opposing views show up less often, and worldviews harden instead of opening up. Two people who type the exact same search term into the exact same platform often end up seeing completely different realities without ever noticing it. This gets worse because emotionally charged, polarizing content simply spreads faster than sober, balanced facts, regardless of whether it's true. Rumors and false claims often reach more people within a few hours than a carefully researched correction ever manages to catch up with. So the time you spend on a platform doesn't just affect you. It ripples into every conversation, every relationship, and every discussion you carry it into. The reckoning. A few numbers to show the scale of of this. In Germany, more than 1 in 4 children between the ages of 10 and 17 show problematic usage patterns, over 1.5 million people affected. Among 14 to 17-year-olds, 1 in 10 meets the criteria for a genuine addiction. Across Generation Z as a whole, roughly 1 in 4 shows typical signs of social media addiction. 3/4 of all 16 to 18-year-olds say they know someone in their circle they consider addicted to social media. Among young women, that number climbs above 8 in 10. This isn't a fringe issue anymore. It's daily reality for millions of people, and the trend shows the older teenagers get, the more time disappears into the feed and the higher the risk climbs. Unlike other addictions, there's no substance ban here and no age limit that's consistently enforced. These apps are available around the clock, free of charge, installed on nearly every device, are packed with the algorithm. So why do we keep going anyway? Because social media also serves real needs. Curiosity, social connection, the feeling of belonging, these are ancient human drives that are supposed to help us survive. People who feel isolated often find their only available connection there. Someone who doesn't feel understood in their own surroundings might find like-minded people online for the very first time. That's real, and it's why a blanket, "just use it less," so often falls flat. Platforms tap directly into these drives, but it was never about your well-being. It's about your attention as a commodity. Every minute you spend on the platform is a minute in which ads can be served to you. Your well-being is, at best, a side effect, never the goal. If we want to change that, we have to honestly acknowledge what these platforms also give us: connection, entertainment, the feeling of being informed. The pact isn't entirely bad, it's just expensive, and we pay that bill in attention, time, and sometimes in our mental health. The cruel part is that the bill rarely comes all at once. It arrives in small installments that only really add up after years. What now? Something is already shifting. More and more people are trying to go without social media entirely for a while. The research on this is mixed. Some detoxes show measurable benefits, others barely move the needle. Part of the reason might simply be how differently these studies are designed. Some test a week off a single platform, others several weeks of complete abstinence from every screen. Still, almost everyone reports the same pattern. At first, going without feels like isolation, paired with the fear of missing out. That usually fades once real-life contact takes up more space again. Afterward, many report better concentration and a more deliberate eye for which content actually adds value to their life. Once a detox ends, many people compensate with a few especially intense days back online, but afterward, they often approach their own usage with fresh eyes, noticing more clearly what they genuinely missed and what they'd rather do without going forward. Whether it's total abstinence, fewer notifications, or simply a more deliberately curated feed, the direction matters more than finding the perfect solution. A few small adjustments already help. Cutting back notifications deliberately, charging your phone out of reach at night instead of using it as an alarm clock, and setting fixed phone-free zones like during meals or in bed. Actively curating your own feed makes a difference too, unfollowing accounts that leave you feeling worse and following ones that genuinely add value instead. And if you notice social media is interfering with your social life, your health, or your work, that's a good moment to make a conscious change. Professional support included if needed. The question isn't whether social media is going away, it isn't. The question is whether we learn to use it without it using us. If you enjoyed this video and want to support us, subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps us a lot, because the next topic is going to be just as surprising.